So I'm gonna give a story time. Um, so there was a job that I was working before uh, when I was working in retail and selling some shoes for Kurt Geiger. This was a couple of years ago, and basically there was one of the guys that one of my colleagues that I was working with, and every time we came into work there was like a very pungent smell uh, that was coming from him. Do you know what I mean? Mind you, where I was working was like a basement of the shop. It was like, let's say it was like a three-story shop, and we were working in the basement of the shop. So I was selling, like, I had my own, is it concession? So had my own section where I was working the shoes for Kurt Geiger, and we had like other people working different brands. It was like it was like kind of like in a Brown Thomas kind of settings, you know. Um, but yeah, anytime we'd come into work, or anytime I would come into work anyway, I'd always smell this pungent smell. Um, and I figured out that was coming from one of these guys, just as he used to come walk by me, or maybe we'd have some chat sometimes, and we'd stand around. And if if you've worked in a retail store before, you know that for the 8 hours you're gonna be standing there just trying to sell whatever you can, which obviously is not a bad situation. There's a lot worse situations you can have for a working environment. It's still a shit job, you know what I mean? But yeah, so this guy would come around and have chats, and I'd smell this mad pungent smell from him. It was very hard to kind of stay around him just because of this smell. But there's a duck coming up to me right now. I would love to show you, but I want to continue the story. Maybe the duck will be here by the end of the story and I can show you. But yeah, so there was a time when I came into work, the start of my shift, and I came to the counter where where the cashier is, and if you were to buy any product, you go up to the cashier, there or whatever, and there was 4 people having a conversation at the cashier, including the supervisor, who's like the manager of the floor, and I decided to kind of come to join the conversation, would I say, but I was just kind of like eavesdropping, how you doing work. And I find out that they're having a conversation, and they're talking about they're kind of like gossiping, about this one guy who smells on the floor. And they're just talking about him, about how he stinks and he reeks, and it sounds like he smells like he doesn't take a shower and all this kind of stuff. So as I'm listening to them, I'm thinking to myself, wait, you guys are discussing about this guy, including the supervisor, mind you. The manager of the floor is gossiping with these people, talking shit about this guy. And I'm thinking to myself, it sounds to me like they didn't tell this guy about the smells, you know what I mean? So that day when he came in to his shift, I actually called him to the back room, and I decided to be a snitch. But I told him about the smell. I brought him to the back, and I was just like, listen, yeah, you have this really bad smell coming from you, and I'm not sure what it is, but I just figured I'd let you know, just because, yeah, I think you deserve to know, So when he thanked me for it, but then he also asked me, he was like, I'm just curious, was there people talking about me to you about this issue? And me being the very honest person that I am, I was like, okay, I mean, yeah, there were some people that were speaking about you. But yeah, when I told him that I don't know what happened after that. Well, he told me that he basically went to confront the guys. Shit, we have some people coming up here. Hello.
Sorry.
Hello.
That's-
Your way.
It's all right.
Sorry.
It's cool. But yeah, anyway, where was I? So, yeah, he basically went to go and approach the people. But the moral of the story is, right, I was thinking about that story before I came and sat down on this dock. And, you know, it's kind of funny, right? Because I think one of the biggest things for us as a people is to be able to build confidence, right, for ourselves. Some people might hear that story and think, oh man, you're a snitch and why couldn't you keep it to yourself or whatever, do you know what I mean? But I thought about it, for me anyway, in my situation, for myself. Like, I would hate to be, basically, right, I found out that the guy, where the smell was coming from was his shoes. So apparently, like, the runners, there was a pair of runners he used to wear to work that had gotten wet. And you know, sometimes when you get this kind of wet shoes kind of smell, so that's where the smell was coming from, apparently, allegedly. But that's not even the point of the story. The point of the story is just the fact that, like, I think it's just important to stand for yourself, you know what I mean, as a person. And I think it not only is not about the story, but it's about building character and building confidence for yourself, you know. So I was just thinking about that story, and I figured I would kind of make like a story time about it and let you guys know. But yeah, man, that's pretty much it. Yeah, here we are. Subscribe to my thing, like the video, don't forget, and I don't know what I'm gonna be doing. I'm still gonna try to figure out what we're doing, but yeah. That duck disappeared. I don't know if you guys seen it in the back, but oh well.